Hey everyone, Sam Mackay here from Enterprise DNA. Just want to do a bit of a deep dive into time-based cohort analysis. Now, this is a very short breakout session from a recent member-only event held for Enterprise DNA members. Now, what I wanted to show here was how I set up this cohort analysis, because that truthfully is the most difficult thing when you're starting to run more advanced calculations like this. How do you actually set up your data model so that you don't totally confuse yourself around how to actually make this all work? Okay, and so I just wanted to show you a bit of the back end here. But before I do that, let's just show what sort of insights we're looking at here, and also just a quick review of time-based cohort analysis. Basically, what cohorts are is just a fancy way to say segments or groupings of your dimensions or variables in your data. So, for example, here, and this is a very common example, what we want to have a look at is groups of our customers. So we want to create cohorts of when our customers first joined us or first started using our software or our application. And so in this particular case, I've created cohorts of particular months. Okay, so if a customer started in June 2017, that's their particular cohort. July 2017, August 2017, that is their cohort. So it's not grouping on, say, the amounts or a number of times they've transacted with us. We are grouping based on time, so when they actually joined us in this particular case. Okay. So how do we actually create these cohorts and then work it into our model? That's the key thing I wanted to work with you here. Now, let's just have a quick look at our model. This is a pretty generic model, but surprisingly, there's no surprises that this is standard, right? This is how you want to try and make your models look in most cases. And you'll see here that I've got another layer of my lookup tables, and I'm going to show you why I've done that in a second. Okay, but we're going to work away and create these cohorts inside of the lookup table in which we want to group a certain dimension. So in this case, customers. We're grouping customers here. Okay, so I'm going to jump to my customers table. Okay, and so my original customers table was just this and this. Okay, that's all it was. But what I want to do, if we want to create these groups, this is the place that you want to do it. Okay, this is where you want to create that segmenting. Now, in this particular case, first of all, I want to work out, okay, when did this customer join us? Okay, in the demo data that I've got here, we're basically trying to work out when did the customer first log on. That's what we're classifying in this case as when a customer joined us. I mean, what this could be though is that this could very easily be, when they signed up, when they did an email sign up, or when they first used the trial, first entered into a trial of your application. All of those things are relevant, but this is basically what you've got, the technique you've got to use. You've got to find out, okay, when was that first initiated connection with the customer, and the join date in this particular case. So once I've got this, very simple min of the login date, and I wrapped it around and calculate to make sure I got the filter context correct, and that gives me the first date. Now what I need to do is I need to work out what month that is, right? Because I want to create my cohorts based on what month they joined us, not on a particular date. But overall, you can see that there's a bit of flexibility here. You could create any number of different cohorts in this case, but I want to join month cohort, month and year basically. Okay, so then what I did was I needed to grab the month and year column from the date table. Okay, but to do that, I needed to do a bit of logic here. So I work out what join date they have, and then I work through all of the date table and work out what date equals the customer join date. And then once that equals to true, it's only going to evaluate to true on one row there, because this is with one singular date. When that evaluates to true, return the month and year column in that same table. Okay, and then I now have my join month cohorts. Okay, so halfway there. So once we've set up our cohort, now I want to show you why I have to create this table up here, this cohort months table. Now, if we just left it at this, what could potentially happen, right, is that this might not actually have every iteration of a month and year, because a customer may not have joined in any month and year. So we have to make sure that for our visualization's sake, because we want to see every single month down here, we actually need to make sure that every single month and year is referenced in a particular table, because it might not be with this dynamic calculation with all of our customers, right? And remember, there's new customers coming on board all the time, so this sort of theoretically always update. So what I did was I had to create another table, and I simply created it with this, okay, cohort months. I basically just went and summarized tables from the date table, or columns from the date table, sorry. I went and grabbed the month and year column, and I went and grabbed the index column, which went along with that column, okay, and that's this particular one in that date table I have. Okay, so I just grabbed two columns from a much larger date table, like this one here. I went and just used summarize to grab these two tables. Okay, now let's just jump back here. Cohort months. Okay, now I know I have every iteration, right? And I also have a way to I also have a unique. These are now unique values as well. So these would be referenced many times if they were in the date table, but this is a unique column of values. So it's a pure lookup table, and we can join a one-to-many relationship from this one down to here. And we know that it's going to filter all the way down to here, which is where our calculator logic is going to be, because of this relationship here. Okay, so that was, I guess, the main concept around setting up your data model for this. Okay, and a similar strategy would need to be implemented for whatever sort of cohorts you were trying to devise, right? It could be cohorts on products or regions or customers, but this is a very relevant one because cohort analysis has been popularized by sort of SaaS applications, and you want to be grouping your customers based on when they're churning, right? And that was the example that I went through during the full session for the member-only event. Now, once you have this all set up, you now have a dimension here which you can place into a matrix, which gives you every single month. The other interesting thing about cohort analysis is we're trying to analyze things about trends within these cohorts, right? And in this particular example, what I did is I wanted to work out what my churn was. You see here, I've got a sort of dynamic visualization here, which was pretty cool. Something I won't go through here, but I went through in depth during that session. But I wanted to work out my churn. So for example, I've got 641 customers joined us in this cohort. 12 actually left us within the first period. Okay, so you have to actually generate some generic logic or a generic table here which showcases what sort of periods you devise. Okay, and so what I have done here is I created this table here called cohort periods. Okay, and in that table I just said, okay, I put this is a sort of like a supporting table. That's what I call them. And I've said, okay, well, period 1 is 0 to 30 days. Period 2 is 30 to 60 days. Period 3 is 60 to 90 days. Okay, so you see how I've created these min and max days for every single period, sort of specifying the time range or the time window in which we want to analyze for each individual cohort. Okay. And in this particular case, what I've done is, so in period 2, I've worked out, okay, there was 14 customers in this particular cohort who churned in that particular period between 30 and 60 days. And as we can look down here, we can see, how it changes for different cohorts. And what I've also got down here is how these percentages can change, right? And so percentages are almost a better way to look at it, because absolute numbers, even though they do show us a very valuable insight, say we were just trying to identify a trend, is there a trend where lots of our customers are leaving us in a particular period? Well, that's where the percentage is going to be more valuable, right? Because that's going to tell us, okay, well, is there, in any unique cohort, some issues? Like, have we dropped off our marketing or advertising and not getting as much sell-through or much stickability from our clients as we go through time? All of those really great things, really good insights, right? So I want to wrap up the video here because I just wanted to show you that sort of back end piece, because I think that's where things get lost here a little bit. But obviously there is some formulas that you need to go through here, and these sort of dynamic churning formulas are what enable this sort of insight. And once you're going to understand sort of some dynamic grouping techniques and with DAX, this sort of stuff really does flow on nicely from that. But this maybe I'll cover it in a future video. But definitely check out some of the scenario method events at Enterprise DNA Online if you do want to see how this was made in its entirety, because there was a full over hour session on it. But hopefully I've given you some good ideas here around just generally what cohort analysis is, then how you implement it, and then some of the sort of just highlighting some of the formula ideas and techniques you got to use as well. And then ultimately you can have in Power BI, I'm telling you, you can create some absolutely incredible analysis inside of Power BI around this cohort type work. I mean, it's just phenomenal. And it can be so dynamic. For example, I'll just show you one example. Say I wanted to actually individually look at customers in a specific cohort that churned. I can select inside of here, and I've set up my table to go down at an individual customer level, which is pretty unique, right? It's pretty powerful stuff. Okay, I hope a bit longer than I wanted on this one, but hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing how this was all drawn up and all made and the techniques used. Okay, thanks a lot. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Enterprise DNA TV. If you enjoyed the content covered in this particular tutorial, please throw the video a like. It really helps us and we really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Enterprise DNA TV channel. We have a huge amount of content coming out all the time from myself and a range of content creators, all dedicated to improving the way that you use Power BI and the Power Platform. Lastly, check out Enterprise DNA's website. Plenty of resources and further learning that you can access very easily. All the best. Take care.